Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef. With me, of course, my good friend Polahoko.
Hey ya.
My good friend Jim.
Hey everybody.
My good friend Devious Vacuum.
Hey, hey, hey!
My good friend Noran Ronan.
Good evening.
My good friend Turbo C.
Hey, so do you think the guy that taped a banana to the wall of the museum is Kajiwara?
No, he wouldn't waste a banana like that. Come on.
That's too silly for Kaju. Yeah, it's just...
That'd be a great cosplay, though, to show up dressed as Kajiwara and tape a banana to a wall at a con.
I thought you meant dressed as the wall with a banana taped to it.
That's a great couple's costume, Kajiwara and the banana.
One person's the wall and the other's the banana.
Oh boy. But what do you call it? But there's no more Kajiwara as of yet because the Osawa's story came to a close last time, and this time we only have 3 characters to draw from for this block.
Yeah, maybe we should start by saying that we're not going to do the entire final episode in this.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't tell him.
Yeah, this isn't the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the penultimate.
Penultimate, yeah. So if you're reading along, I hope you read the hour with the 3 characters, Minorikawa and those 2 other jerks. No, Minorikawa, Achi, and Kano. All right.
You're right the first time.
All right. Speaking of which, let's just open up the laptop of good luck here, and we'll get Slowbeef's notes for Minorikawa. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So this is my new Predator Helios 300 gaming laptop, and I cannot mute that fucking startup sound.
Oh, that's the sound of a real gamer.
It is. It has the word Predator come on screen and like light up.
Yeah, you can't say the name of your laptop without pushing your nose up on your glasses.
You have to fight off a tiger before you can boot up your PC.
Jim, by my glasses, do you mean my yellow tinted glasses, which help visual acuity when doing first-person shooters?
Of course, man. You got to watch out for that blue light. It's dangerous when you're streaming 24 hours a day.
Well, you are using all that power to play visual novels, though.
Did you get the option for the energy drink holder?
You want to know the most ridiculous thing is that this is actually the only game I currently have installed on it.
Fantastic.
I've been using it for Dead of the Brain. Anyway.
It's got RTX, though, so it's great. It's perfect game for it.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Look. It's 1,700 hours, okay? And you know where we left off. Chiaki's down for the count, and the deadline's coming.
It's actually 1,800 hours.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock.
You know what the problem is? Well, you'll see the problem where I took time notes. It's 1,800 hours, and Chiaki is down to the count. She just tripped. She, scratched up her knee. The deadline's coming. I found the game kind of gave me a little bit of a recap of the last 5 minutes where we're trying to... Huh?
Yes, it did. I thought that was very nice of it.
Yeah, where we're on our way for the final article. Toyama is doing his own work. We need to interview the studs of Shibuya. The traffic is at a standstill for some reason, so Minorikawa's plan is to sprint for the Inferno bar to meet the gang until traffic clears up. But Chiaki trips, she hurts her knee, the deadline's coming. Katayama, who is the guy from the printing company, and who's like the king of time.
Yeah, I just called him Time Guy.
Tempo Fugit, that's right, the clock king from Batman, but in Japan. Tempest Fugit, actually. He says, it doesn't, look, you've got exactly 1 hour. It doesn't matter. You can't make it. And the world needs one less, the world could go with one less gossip rag in the world. But Chiaki, she really wants to persevere because this is her chance to get published and be a good writer and stuff. And then we're reminded that 57 minutes and 10 seconds remain. So Minorikawa was like, okay, I could run ahead, interview SOS, incorporate a small part of Chiaki's work, but he doesn't want to kill her passion as a writer. So priorities, but whatever. Okay, that's the Minorikawa way. Chiaki tries to struggle up the stairs, and Minorikawa is like, maybe I should just not worry about her emotions or not care about her at all. But after seeing her struggle up the stairs like that, trying to get up there, even with her injured, I guess.
It's covered in red paint.
It really is. It's really obvious.
A little bit of ketchup. I think she fell on a packet.
She skinned her knee tops, but whatever. It's fine. after seeing her like persevere like that, he's like, I can't bring myself to do it. But he can't come up with a plan, but all of a sudden he hears a voice. And who is it? It's Kimizuka, the cab driver.
The ship sails itself, my friends.
It's beautiful. Taxi guy to the rescue. And he says, traffic? I see nothing of the sort, even though there is plainly traffic. And you have a choice of where do you want to go, Bar Inferno or other places. I went with Inferno because we're on the clock.
Yeah, so did anyone do the labyrinth, or was it just me?
I did, actually.
And did you finish the labyrinth?
I guess I did. I'm not really sure what it was.
I forgot all about that, sorry.
If you don't know, then you didn't finish the labyrinth.
No, I know I didn't. You told us about it, and I forgot to do it.
Yeah, but let's talk about labyrinths later. I want to talk about labyrinths, but let's do it later.
I went through the labyrinth. I was very confused about it. I'm not sure I got to the end of it.
I know everything about the labyrinth. Everything there is to know about the labyrinth.
All right, let's get to it later then.
Yeah.
Listen here. Because we're in a crazy taxi. It's tearing down the narrow side streets, and in the cab, Katayama complains about the driving because we all hate him, and Chiaki continues writing her copy on the laptop. Kimizuka warns Minorukawa about getting involved with the SOS. He's like, they used to be a vigilante group, but that's changed. And Katayama chimes in and goes, how are you going to interview them? And Minorukawa says, I have a plan, a secret one.
I'm going to ask them questions.
I have a plan, a secret one, and then I wrote in parentheses, I believe him. So he thinks back and he realizes that Toyama inspires him, and that's why he hated to see him reduced to where he was. He resolves he has to save Heaven Publishing, because when you give a job, you give 100%. Wouldn't you agree? And that's beautiful. And then what's his name? Katayama? No.
Yeah, Katayama.
Thank you, Katayama. Sorry, I was looking at my notes. Like, he reminds him that I don't have 51 minutes, 30 seconds. Anyway, an erratic minivan's heading toward them, but Kimizuka maneuvers around them. I'm sure we'll hear about that later. And then they arrive at the bar. 49 minutes to go. 49 minutes, 6 seconds to go. Minorukawa kicks the door of the bar in, and there's a whole mob of street toughs demanding to know who he is. I can't believe I wrote street toughs. Like, what am I, from the 50s?
I love how much they just look like a J-pop band.
Yeah, they really do. Mm-hmm. Like, they've all got their own personality from their clothes, too. Like, it really is J-pop.
Minorukawa says he wants an interview, and they like kind of like approach him innocently, but Susumu's sitting at the bar and says, hold up, guys. And Minorukawa explains, I just need 5 minutes for an interview, but Susumu's like, I'm not in the mood. And he's like, Minorukawa's like, all right, I'll just have to write about SOS without your input. And then he mentions the stolen goods from the warehouse. Anybody remember this?
How could we forget?
Exactly.
We just talked about it with Daisuke last chapter.
Mm-hmm. So Susumu denies it at first until Minorukawa points out two guys sitting on the couch. The two guys, and they come clean, and Susumu asks them, and they come clean about it. So he starts beating them up, and Minorukawa tries to interrupt because he's got an interview to do, and he won't. So he won't stop. So Minorukawa says, "You're clearly not the cream of the crop," which is, I guess, an insult in gang terms. So Minorukawa starts taunting him, and then I wrote in my notes, which is not what I would have done.
What would you have done in that situation?
I don't know. I think I would have left it at cream of the crop, like, rather than, but like, it's a rare break from Minorukawa, I guess is what I'm saying. So anyway, Susumu says he's going to beat him up, but then Chiaki and Katayama come in. She's finished, and you have a choice. Like, you want to read her copy right now? And I picked the truth, which was, I have no time for that right now.
Oh.
But she won't take no for an answer. Well, we don't.
It doesn't matter, but I just thought that he would read her copy that moment.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't take no for an answer.
So it's worth noting that there is only actually one bad ending in this, like, entire hour segment, and that's if you go to the labyrinth. But most of the choices don't give you a bad ending.
Yes.
So I want to read my notes here verbatim, if I may, for these two sentences, or three. Okay. The gang approaches her to steal her laptop, meaning Chiaki. But Minorukawa says, if you're going to fight someone, fight me. They beat him silly. Which, I mean, come on. I mean, you know. But
they do beat him silly.
He goes limp. He plays dead until they stop, basically. Then Chiaki bends over him, to see if he's okay. And he, like, slowly gets up. And then he laughs in big text. Bwahaha. and he proclaims victory, which again I don't know if I would have done. She starts to leave, and then they're all like looking shocked. And Katayama, who's like a friggin' hall monitor, goes, "Oh, I get it. You let yourself get beat up so you'd have something to write." And then he says, "I wonder if," and then like an idiot, he says, "I wonder if the headline should be, 'This once proud vigilante gang, now just common thugs.' By the way, you have 40 minutes and 7 seconds left, so I hate Katayama." But then, as the gang approaches to keep beating up Minorikawa, silly, Kimizuka comes in, the cab driver, and he's Susumu's...
What do you think about that plan? I mean, that was his plan, to write... He needed something to write about, so he wanted to...
That was... That's not a good...
It's not a good plan. That's like a plan C at best.
Well, he did have an article out of it. If it stopped here, he would have had an article out of it. Like, gang beats up reporter.
Does he really need this? This is my thing, though. Okay, let's pause for a sec, because I got to complain about Minorikawa this chapter. The much bigger story is the viral outbreak that you have a connection to, and all this stuff, and what's going on. I know Toyama's covering the explosion, but, help me out here.
He's got a lot of pieces of the puzzle, and he will bring it up in a bit. And he does know what's going on. He just is choosing not to engage on it, which is just weird.
Yes. No, exactly, because he has to write about this gang, and his story is going to be like, "I went to interview the gang, but they beat the shit out of me. What terrible vigilantes!"
No, because he wants the big story for the following issue, because he only has 1 hour to come up with this one. So he wants to do something for this issue, and then he will follow up. Yeah, but he have to finish things in an hour here. So.
Well, anyway, look, Kimizuka turns out he's Susumu's former teacher, and apparently he was actually every gang member's former teacher. And his reasoning is that since Minorikawa tricked him, they owe him the interview. And I wrote in parentheses, which, to be fair, who would want to take that beating? So I kind of side with the gang a little on this. But Susumu agrees to this, and then Kiryu, who's been kind of on the couch, chiming in with with stuff, jumps in though, and he says, "I don't agree to this interview." And then Chiaki asked about the copy, which is what a day. And then I wrote, "Oh my god, that laptop! It's got lace frills and a quilt heart and stickers with a drawing of a pig."
So you mean it's fantastic, which it is.
It's certainly not a gamer PC.
It's not a Predator Helios 300. That's true. What was I saying? Anyway, so he reads the copy quick, and he goes, "It's okay." And she's like, "Really okay?" And he goes, "Really, really okay." And she's delighted for this, and he realizes that she looks up to him the way he looked up to Toyama, and he's shocked. Anyway, Kimizuka takes his leave. Minoru goes to hand him a 10,000 yen note, so it's roughly $100, I guess. But Kimizuka won't let him, and he hands him back the change he needs already in advance, as he knew Minorikawa was going to try to overpay, which is what a professional does his job 100%. So anyway, they do the interview, and we kind of gloss over that, meaning the text doesn't really go into what was asked or anything. Anyway, afterwards, apparently he was really hurt by this, because Susumu's the cream of the crop line. Did you really mean it? Okay. So Minorikawa says it was just to rile him up. And Susumu asks, what does Minorikawa really think of? And he apparently wants to be advice on being a better gang leader. And he's asking Minorikawa for that. Okay. Minorikawa says he never wanted to be a leader himself, but 2 things stand out: forgiveness and also trust. He remembered he did that for Toyama and Chiaki. And he says people can tend to gravitate toward people who can handle things when they get tough. And then apparently Katayama, I think, got a call or a message that Toyama's already sent his piece to the publishing office. So they're set, and they have exactly 30 minutes remaining.
How do you think that went down? Toyama getting his piece, because he was supposed to. What was his about? It was about everything that's going on, right?
Yeah, the explosion and stuff.
The explosion. Yeah. So how'd that happen? We never get to see that scene.
I'm kind of assuming it's just a little Deus Ex Machina there, where it's just all right, look, we gotta get to, we didn't have the actor here to be photographed in the bar, so whatever, he got there, hooray.
I'm disappointed. I feel that was a really good moment for Toyama, and it's just one line.
Yeah. It could have been a cool scene with one of the other police officers where he got the inside scoop from a cop that he knew from some other way.
Mm-hmm.
Just something like I don't know. Just in another character's thing, they were like driving somewhere and they saw him for like one instance or something.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he was in that speeding minivan that we don't think we really learn about.
They mention, I think, who the minivan is. There's
I think they
tooltip there. Yes. It's the guys from the theater. And
with the dry ice.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You're right. They do. It's in like one of the notes, right?
Yeah. They have the entire like sub story in the notes.
Yeah.
Which is honestly kind of great, but you know. What was I saying? Anyway. Okay, look. So basically, he begins to type his article, but then Achi Endo bursts in. And he gets on he prostrates and he begs SOS for their help to take someone down. Somehow Chiaki realizes this is about the terrorist plot, and then
of course,
Minorikawa, yeah, whatever. But then she has a plan. That's right, it is her because it's her like instinct or whatever. And the plan is interview him in 10 minutes and write the story in the remaining 20. And Katayama says, I don't get it. Why don't you just make the deadline with the plan you already had? But Minorikawa says, I'm a professional and that's just what I do. Katayama admits he is now curious to read the magazine. Amazing. So we've got a convert. And then Minorikawa and Chiaki walk up to Achi and say, sound like you got an interesting story. Mind letting me hear it too? And then it says, end of Minorikawa's story and end of my interest in 428 Shibuya Scramble.
And Achi goes, my story started at 8 a.m. today.
And now the predator can sleep. So anyway.
Yeah, and Katayama like ceremoniously closes his pocket watch as he's like, well, I'm interested in your story, and then closes it like he's like, I guess you guys are off the clock.
It's like he's the villain of this chapter, but like a really bad one.
Yeah,
Who, Katayama?
You don't even get to play as him. I thought that because he was like so present. I was like, well, maybe he's one of the characters you get to play as, and like, no, he's just a guy.
Oh well. So who's up next?
Next is Achi.
I think that's a good lead into Achi.
Do we want to talk about the labyrinth for a second? So,
yeah, let's go with that.
Please tell us about the labyrinth.
Turbo, if you did it, as someone who doesn't know how to solve it, do you want to maybe just tell us what it is?
So you get a bunch of it goes into like the Windows old screensaver where it's a 2D maze that looks like old school Doom and all that, and then it shows you with a couple multiple choice options. You can go left or right, and I guess it gives you hints. Like I think the first choice I did was to go right, and then I saw a like blue and red Tama that held a sign that said "I'm black and white."
Okay, let me. I'll make it clear.
It's just completely wild. Yeah. It's like it's a fever dream.
You get to the labyrinth by choosing. Well, the taxi driver asks you where you want to go, and the correct answer is Inferno. But one of the answers is the labyrinth. So he takes you there, and you go in, and it's like a 2D. It's like a 3D maze, like painted in MS Paint. And the labyrinth is both a maze and a logic puzzle that you have to solve.
Is this like a tried and true mini game, or is it like?
It's a mini game. My estimate, I use the walkthrough, but since I know the solution, it's probably going to take over an hour if you actually want to go and solve it like legitimately. It's difficult, and you don't get anything out of it, not even a selfie. So you go into like a maze, and you have to do two things. You have to find your way out of the maze, and if you take the wrong route, there's like a couple of bad endings there. One of them is like a direct scene from the horror game that I told you about before, that Spike Chunsoft did along with this one.
So my ending, I think Minorikawa just started eating the walls, thinking it was seaweed.
Yeah, there's like 3 bad endings that you can get to, but there's a road that takes you out of it. You just have to find it, and you can't use the backlog in this. So if you fail, you have to start over, and you have to read all the text again. It's really slow. So So just mapping it is difficult. And then the logic puzzle is that whenever you choose a direction in the labyrinth, you get to like a place where you see one of 3 colored tamas. And this is like,
what the hell are you talking about?
This is like it's like the same.
Seriously, look up a video of this. It's completely different from anything you could expect with this game.
What a terrible podcast.
Yeah, that's what it is. I jumped into it, took a look at it, and then went immediately to a video because I'm like, I ain't doing this.
So the tamas are like the same JPEG of tama, just like in Photoshop color differently. Like they loaded them in Photoshop and used the
different palette?
The color slide to like color it red, blue, and green, I think, are the 3 colors. And you get a sign at the beginning of the labyrinth that tells you that 2 of them always lie and 1 of them always tells the truth. So you have to figure that out. And you figure that out by just listening what they say about the other ones. And then they also, each of them like holds a sign that has something written on it. And these are clues that leads you to what the actually final answer is of the labyrinth. So you have to figure out which one of them are true, and then which objects they are pointing to. So then when you actually get to the end of the labyrinth, you get like a yellow tama that asks you whether you got the answer right. And the way this works is that he asks you what the clues lead to. And there are like 7 options, but you can only see one at a time, and you can't go back. So you see the first option, and if you press down, then you see the second option, but you can go back to the first. So you have to know when you reach it, this is the one you want, and choose it. And then they also ask you which tama is the one that tells the truth. And if you get both answers right, then you get like a game show you win ending with like confetti, and that's it.
Oh my god.
And you win the antidote to the virus.
It's so bizarre, and you get nothing out of it.
So what is the solution out of morbid curiosity, having only seen like 2 hints?
It's like Ocello pieces, so the black and white one is correct.
Oh, okay.
So let me just ask you this: like, is this like canonically explained, like what's going on, like? Or is it just like a complete side thing where it's like, all right.
No, it's a complete side thing. There's no explanation whatsoever. But it has some like funny dialogue in it, so you should go watch it if you want. Or if you really have a lot of time, and try to actually solve it. It's possible. But it is going to take like more than an hour.
Do you get an achievement for it?
No.
What? All right, forget it.
You get nothing out of it.
Well, I mean, you need to do it once to get you can get it wrong, but you need to get the bad ending from it, don't you?
Yeah, if there's an ending, you have to get all the endings, right?
Oh yeah, if you want the all bad endings achievements, then you have to see it.
So you do.
Yeah.
You have to go there and fuck up.
When I looked up a video for it, the video of someone playing through the labyrinth is 54 minutes. So yeah, it's a long one.
Just because you have to do it over and over again, and you can't use the backlog.
Yep.
So you can't wait forward.
Oh
you have to actually wait for the text to scroll each and every time.
It's really a mercy that they didn't make it an achievement to do it, isn't it? Because then you could just not do it. You could just save yourself the mental anguish of having to do that. Like, it was so bad that they were like, no, we can't, not even slowbeef should do this.
So my serious thing is, like, I forgot that we were supposed to go to an Inferno, so if Oren didn't tell me that, we were supposed to go to an Inferno beforehand, I probably would have actually picked Labyrinth, and I would have gone to it thinking, like, well, this is something. I guess I got to get through it.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but yeah, if you don't want to actually do it, then go look up a video just to see how it looks.
What's the third option? There's another option that's also wrong.
There's another option, but it doesn't actually lead to anything. It's just you can say that you want to go to, I forget what the name of it is, but it's not Inferno and it's not Labyrinth.
It's like another bar, right?
Yeah, and then the cosplay fighter bar.
And then Minorikawa gets a little horny about it, and then they talk him out of it.
Yeah, Chucky has to remind him that it's Inferno.
Yes.
Wild.
That's pretty great.
Well,
by the way, you have 40 minutes and 21 seconds to finish this podcast.
So should we start with a little bit of Kano?
A little bit of
Sure, I can start with some Kano.
just because Archie starts like 5 minutes later, so and you have to jump into him.
Yeah, so we'll go until Achi sort of breaks off from Kano because they sort of start in the same spot. So we had we start off with Kano's route with a phone call from Kuze, and Kuze wants us to get Maria into quarantine immediately, and Kano says, hey, let's not do that. Let's take Maria to the lab to get her the cure, but he neglects to mention Alphard in this conversation. Kuze says, no, don't do that. Get her into quarantine. And Kano gets very angry and hangs up on him. To which Stanley tells Kano that he is actually like proud of Kano and he's doing the right thing. When all of a sudden, Teteno arrives in the doorway.
And now we can go to Achi.
Yeah.
Achi route in this chapter starts when Teteno appears at Endo Electronics. And of course, Kano and his father, Daisuke, knows who that is, but Achi just knows him as the man with the cane who tries to kill him all day. So he confronts him, but Teteno apologizes for what he did. Achi doesn't take it straight away, so he grabs him. And Teteno is very apologetic and tells him that he can do what he wants to him. He will take anything. And Achi immediately calms down, which is kind of strange. Like when the man who like tries to kill the girl you're trying to protect all day like appears.
Yeah, multiple times. Like he tried to kill her so many times, and he's just like, "Oh well, I guess so. Okay, whatever."
He's heard too many sob stories today. He's done.
Achi is like very like he's not intelligent. He's very sympathetic though to other people. So he could very easily be tricked by a sob story, is what I'm saying. But I don't think anyone is smart enough to do that to him.
He didn't even hear the sub story, and he immediately just thinks about how this is the right guy to take Maria to the lab. Because they need a driver. So they decide to do that. So Teteno is going to take Maria and Kanan to the lab to meet up with what's his name? I forgot his name. The father, Osawa.
Oh, Osawa.
Yeah.
Kenji Osawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget his name because he's so freaking forgettable.
Yeah, exactly.
He stinks.
And we get a little scene where Daisuke apologizes to Teteno because he involved him with the entire thing. And they both agree that they're both terrible people.
They're right.
Yeah.
Man, the fallout of this, like, that's happily ever after, blah, blah, blah. But, like, Daisuke's definitely going to jail. I think there's even a tooltip. There's a tooltip about how Teteno's going to jail. But, these people, they're going to jail. Like, Achi's just going to be, like, on his own for a while after this with him and is taking care of his sister in the hospital. They fucked up.
Well, I mean, ain't gonna be taking care of her for long.
I mean, it's fair, yeah.
I mean, maybe there's some sort of like plea deal if you stop a terrorist attack.
I bet they all just decide to keep it secret, and nobody goes to jail.
I bet Osawa figures out a way to cure her heart disease without a transplant or something.
I have a virus for that.
Or he dies, because I bet he has Bombay blood, actually, because why would maybe the twins, one of them has it because of him, and then he fucking bites it, sacrifices himself nobly at the end, and then, I don't know, that would be funny.
He sacrifices himself, but nothing's wrong with him, he's just like, But in a totally, preservable way.
Yeah.
Or they tell him, like, you know what? You can learn a lot about viruses when you're fucking dead, actually. So, and then he buys that. I don't know why he would, but, still.
Thinking about it, like, everybody involved here is the only ones who know kind of what went on, and they're already defying, like, orders from above, so they can kind of do whatever they want at the end of this.
I think the moral of the story is that in Shibuya, parents are awful people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're both terrible people and just been running away from pain. blah, blah, blah. So then Archie overhears Kano and Stanley talking. And they're talking about how they need more people for the meeting Alpha at the Scramble. Because there's only the two of them.
Is your alarm going off in the background? There's like a little song.
That was my rice machine. Now we have to keep it in.
Oh, the Helios Predator 400.
Oh, so powerful.
This podcast is brought to you by...
Okay, so they're talking about how there's only two of them and they need more people, and Archie says that he will also go with them. That makes three people. But three people still isn't enough, and they need more.
So who else do we know?
Yeah, kind of say they need like a lot of people over there, like in the morning, because they think Alpha is probably going to try to use the VirUS to get them to do what he wants.
If only we had like a gang of people.
Yeah. So you have a choice here. It doesn't matter which you pick. The right answer is that Archie can go get the SOS members to join them. And he thinks he can convince Susumu to help them. He asks them to give him 30 minutes to go and get them, which they agree to. Yeah, I don't know how smart they are to just agree to get like a random gang to help them. but they do.
The coolest gang in Shibuya.
Yeah, I think all he tells him is, I'll go get people. Yeah.
Yeah. So before he leaves, he shares like a little moment with Tommy. Asks her to wait for him, and she says that she will. And he starts running. He thinks he can get there in 10 minutes. Which, like, Minoru needed a taxi to go there. 10 minutes, even running is...
Archie's...
Yeah, but Archie got muscle.
He runs with his arms straight back, so he can go a lot faster.
I mean, Minoru Kawa could take a beating. I think that's his superpower, but, you know.
Yeah. So he starts running, and he runs through the station, and Rumi and the father are there. And you can stop and look at them. You have that option. And if you do, then he thinks that Rumi is a very pretty woman, but Tommy is prettier.
Aww. Once again, Rumi her face is just like conveniently obscured.
So he gets to Inferno 10 minutes later, like he promised. And the two gang members guarding the door. One of them he recognizes the one that they shook up for money earlier in the day. He asks him to go inside, but Susumu is busy with some business inside. And you have a choice here too. It also doesn't matter. Archie mentions that he's Archie, the guy the guy that has the name, and one of them tells him that he's going to go ask Susumu if he can go in. While does that, Archie talks to the other guy and talks about the past and how SOS used to be like just a fun place where people gathered and protected Shibuya.
Just a bunch of friends who hang out.
Yeah.
It's fun to stay at the SOS.
Yes, exactly.
Just a bunch of bros, just a bunch of guys being dudes together.
This is all it is, yeah.
In a bar.
I think they literally say that at one point, or Archie says it. Just a bunch of bros being dudes, come on.
Yeah, we're all friends. We're just hanging out and having fun.
Yeah, so the guy tells him that it's not Susumu's fault that SOS changed because Kiyu got there and he has his followers and he's trying to take control of SOS. But even though things are getting bad, the guard still wants to be in SOS because Susumu inspires him. Susumu treats everyone the same and thinks about other people more than doesn't see himself.
It's rough out there, huh? They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for role models out here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Shibuya has is role models. Doesn't have dads, just role models.
Yeah, everyone has a bad dad. That's why all these boys are in a gang.
and like look up to somebody who lets him down eventually, Tatano.
This is a little sort of Peter Pan Neverland sort of thing going on here, where they choose the worst person as their leaders.
Yeah, there's a lot. Once again, we are confronted by bad dad vibes.
I think every single plot line either has a bad dad or an idol who lets you down. Like it's either Dick Dickdom's guy or Toyama or any of these. Like that's it. There's all these different things. Bad dad or bad pseudo dad.
Minorikawa hasn't let anybody down, and he's a role model for Chiaki.
Well, Toyama let him down.
No, I get that. I'm not disagreeing with you per se, but I just need to put it out there.
But that he's the good dad in this story.
He is. He's not a biological dad. He's just a mentor. No. Yeah.
I think you could pick like any male character in this video game, and it would be a 50-50 shot whether they'd be shitty or a decent person.
No, I'd stand by it. Not Minorikawa. But yeah, you're right.
They either let someone down or they were let down. Like Kano as well, let down.
Or you're Minorikawa, in which you're just sort of equally in the middle.
Oh man, also like the focus on bad dads as like such a pervasive theme in this also like helps me relate to it a lot as an American, because like so many American movies, especially like dramas like this kind of stuff, have those themes in it where it's like, oh, the director of this had a problem with his father.
I'm a cop dad that works too hard and neglects his family.
Yeah.
Yep. If only I could learn the true meaning of Christmas.
I'm just thinking about what Minorikawa would have done in the place of these other characters. Like if Osawa was Minorikawa. Oops, all Minorikawas.
Oh man, that's the fanfic that I want to read.
Like, hey, my daughter's sad. I gotta go fix that because I'm Minorikawa and not Osawa.
It's resolved very quickly.
It would be, though. Yeah, no, it absolutely would be. That's the funny part. It's like, I'm going to give 100% and be the ultimate dad.
Yeah, he's going to give some nonsensical, like, motivational speech that somehow works, even though it makes no sense.
He also probably doesn't invent the UA virus because that would be irresponsible socially, and then we don't have a story.
No, he invents it, but then he tells it to fuck off, and it does.
He just points his finger at it and says, not you, virus.
It tells it to just be a better people.
You could be a good disease if you wanted to.
You could help people.
I just have a vision of like a microscope and a Minorikawa finger pointed at it.
At like an individual bacteria cell.
So where were we? Achi like explains the situation to Susumu.
Yeah, so Achi gets in, the other guard comes out and lets him in, and Achi immediately gets on the floor.
It's VirUS, not VirME.
Okay,
there we go.
My god! That's the episode title.
Somebody write that down, please. No.
So Achi immediately gets on the floor, like begging, and also immediately tells him about how this is all about an international terrorist who's planning to let out a deadly virus in Shibuya. Like, the most unbelievable story you can tell them, which is true, but obviously Susumu doesn't believe him. He thinks he's either joking or has gone mad. And Achi says that they should help him just because Shibuya's in trouble and they all love Shibuya and they should come help him. And he'll beg as much as needed. And this is the point where Minorikawa and Chiaki come in. And they confirm Achi's story because they know a lot of stuff. So they tell Susumu that everything Achi says is true, is probably true. And they also mentioned the UA virus and Maria Osawa, which Achi doesn't understand why they know that. And Susumu still hesitates, but Kiryu comes in and says that should help, but if they do, then Achi has to. How did they translate that line in English?
It wasn't any particular way. It was just like, oh, we have to it wasn't like score to settle, but it was something similar to that of just like we have an unfinished business. We have to fight.
Yeah, it's like In Japanese, it's like take responsibility. It's something that you do when you messed up and you have to take responsibility by like apologizing or like doing a public apology, usually. But what Kiryu means is that because Archie left SOS, then he has to be punished and he has to go through the guillotine, which we heard about before.
Yeah, finally get to see the guillotine.
Yeah. And what that turns out to be is that you get pinned to the pool table, face down, and then you get hit by a metal pipe.
Yeah, just beamed on the noggin.
Killing you.
Yeah, well, he said that he only wants to send him to the hospital.
Yeah, and they've also given a count before. They'd be like, he's in 8 people to the hospital this month. It's like a new record.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Like, it's a bloody pipe, so apparently it's like, it's been used a lot, they establish.
They never wash it.
Think of the viruses on that baby.
Yeah.
Q's plan is to send Archie to the hospital, which means that he beat the legendary Archie, which means that he's going to get a little more support and get to be the head of SOS. That's his brilliant plan. And Archie thinks that Archie doesn't mind going through that. He just regrets that he's not going to be with Hitomi. But at the last moment, Kiryu blurts out that he doesn't actually mean to go through with his promise to help to help them with the terrorist problem. And just as he...
Can I also say, I love all of the Kiryu's actors' faces throughout this.
Yeah. Very expressive.
Yeah. So just as Kiryu raises the pipe and means to hit Archie, Susumu stops him. He grabs the pipe from behind. And Susumu tells Archie that he's sorry and that he will go with the plan. Without any conditions, because that's Archie's one request that he has to keep.
Which Archie didn't do.
Yeah, which Archie didn't do, but Susumu is better than Archie, so he will do it.
And then he's finally better than Archie.
Yeah.
That's the way he beats Archie, is by being the better man.
Yeah.
Sure.
And not dying to a terrorist virus.
This is a lot.
Of course, the better man probably wouldn't say that when he did it.
Being a man, I don't know, y'all. Like, Turbo, I can see why you opted out.
It's complex shit. It's just simpler.
Yeah.
Too many
simpler
rules.
this way.
So then they have a big fight. And it's very short though, because Archie stops it by doing a high kick into the metal pipe. And sending Kiryu like flying, and then he just finishes it off with like a judo punch.
Just one punch. He's out.
Says, I beat my dad with that move.
Yeah, exactly.
The classic
true.
dad killer.
The gang looks horrified. Like, you beat your dad?
My ultimate move, the dad destroyer.
So that's it. Basically, Susumu and Archie go back to Endo Electronics with 30 more gang members to help them. Not before Archie gives like a very emotional speech about Shibuya and how they all love Shibuya and they're going to save it.
And he's like, "What? Come on, guys! Like, is this working? Is this what I should be saying?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, he's kind of hesitating halfway through, and then Susumu bails him out at the end. He's like, I don't know, I like this girl a lot, and I meet people like her in Shibuya, and so we're all about saving Shibuya, right? So let's
Recycling's
save
fun.
Shibuya.
I mean, it
my
wouldn't be
God.
Archie if he made the perfect speech.
Yeah.
That was cute.
So they get back to Endo Electronics just in time to go to the scramble. And then we cut to the scramble 3 minutes before the before 7. And Archie just thinks about the day and how he met Hitomi. And at the beginning, I thought he was cute, but then he got to know her throughout the day and got to know how much of a beautiful person she was.
It's true love.
True love. But also his leg is hurting because he kicked a metal pipe and doesn't want to tell anyone,
dude.
but he can walk, but it can't really do anything else.
Yeah, and she had noticed that he was hurting before, and he was just like, "Nope, doing fine. Don't worry about it."
And then it's 7, and someone's coming in, and we got to keep out. And I think we should go to Kano now because Kano actually gets to see
that makes sense
to the twist.
Yeah,
sorts of syncs up at this point. Okay, so when we last left Kano, Teteno arrived in the doorway, and Teteno said he's going to escort Kanan and Maria back to the lab, and that Kano, Stanley, and Achi are going to stay here and try and get Alphard. So Teteno actually asks Hitomi about Maria's memories, and Kano sort of susses out that the amnesia is probably why Maria didn't contact anyone since she got released, is that she forgot. Teteno noticed her get pretty hit hard on the head. So Teteno says once Maria's safe, he'll turn himself in, and Kano gets very sad because his mentor will officially be a criminal now. Teteno notices that Kano's getting all mopey and recites dictum number 1, which is never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. And that Maria and Shibuya are the ones he should be worrying about, not Teteno. And then Teteno leaves.
If you don't pick the right response to Teteno, and then you don't unlock the hidden characters. And if you don't unlock the first hidden character, then you can't unlock the second hidden character. I just thought you'd all like to know that, because that's what I experienced, and I was really confused.
Oh, I must have accidentally picked the right solution then, which was to actually still worry about Teteno.
The first time I did it, I didn't get to any of the hidden characters. Yeah,
I had to go back. I eventually went back to a walkthrough because I was like, I get stuck. If you don't do these 2, you get stuck at one point and you can't move, so...
Yeah.
So if you're playing it at home and you haven't gotten to this part, or you're you played until the bad ending and you're like, how do I get the characters? It's this choice where Kano has something to say to Teteno as he's leaving. That's the choice to change and see if that affects anything.
Yeah. Teteno smirks and says, "Oh, you really are a bad policeman."
Yeah. I think it designed that you won't see those jumps the first time, and then you get to the bad endings just after 7. And then you go back and search for them and find the 2 new characters.
Yeah. I must have accidentally done it right because I did unlock one of the secret characters. Not actually secret, because that's how you get to the ending. Anyways, so Teteno leaves, and Kano suggests to Daisuke that the organ trafficker that he met might be Alphard. So Daisuke starts zooming through all of the camera feeds that he has to try and search for the person, as he remembers what they look like. And then Achi runs off to get help from SOS. At this point, Hitomi explains Achi's history about SOS to Kano, and Kano's sort of just like, I'm not so sure gang members would be great for help in this. But Hitomi reassures him that whoever Achi will bring will be a trustworthy person. Meanwhile, Stanley is sitting in a corner thinking to himself. Kano decides not to bother him and instead drafts plans for the stakeout with the team, allocating for Achi bringing up to 20 people with him. Eventually, Stanley does say something, and he mentions that he has to do something else and that we should go to the scramble without him. At this point, if you are an eagle-eyed viewer like myself, you can notice the cameraman reflected in Stanley's glasses.
That was so good. I'm so glad you checked.
Zoom and enhance on that exact frame. I thought that was cool though, because I was wondering what these shots were framed like. Is it just a guy with a DSLR camera, which it was. Anyways, Kano can ask for more info at this point, but if he does, Stanley just really says that he wishes he could say more, but he can't. Eventually, the time goes on, and we're worried about Achi. He's taken too long, so we get a choice that we can leave without him or wait for him and accept that we'll be late. We get a keep out at this point, but eventually Achi does show up with the 428 theme playing, and he says, "Protecting Hitomi is my job."
Adorable.
And he comes with 30 people, which Kano did not plan for, but is apparently okay with. So we all head to the scramble, and it is 6:59 right now, and everyone's in position. The theme is still pumping.
It's a mess. There's people everywhere. Everything's shut down.
Yeah, they're like the emergency personnel are driving around, but they're all understaffed. The scramble is packed. They note that hundreds of thousands are on the line at this right moment. And Hitomi is standing right back in front of the Hachiko statue that we started this entire thing with.
And it's a nice video of her standing there yet again.
Yeah.
Only this time it's night and not day.
Right. So Kano is counting down the seconds to 7 p.m. when his cell phone rings. And on the other end of the phone, it says, "I've got him," from Daisuke. The organ trafficker is on camera nearby. He says it is a tall foreign guy wearing glasses. And then we get to see Leland Palmer.
I called it last episode.
You did.
Oh, I'm so mad!
7 p.m. on the dot, Leland Palmer shows up.
Fuck off. Leland Palmer was the Joker the whole time. That's the heel turn. Like, when he talks, he's like, don't negotiate with me. I'm so clever.
He has that air about him.
Yeah.
Anyways, Hitomi is stunned seeing Leland finally. He talks to her in English and then goes back to fluent Japanese, which I don't think he ever was fluent in his language. Oren, feel free to correct me.
Yeah, they talk specifically about how when he talked to the policeman before, then his Japanese was like not good.
Yeah.
But apparently he was just faking it.
Yeah. He reveals that he's the one that injected Hitomi with the UA virus and is here to collect her blood. Hitomi tries to ask for the password, but Leland wants the blood first, as per the agreement. And Hitomi tries to call Kanan, but we don't hear an answer. Kano reacts instinctively and draws his gun on Leland, and Achi darts in as well to protect Hitomi from Leland. To which Leland just sort of opens his attaché case and produces several vials of liquid holding in his hand, and he just says, "If you want to shoot me, then shoot me." So he's...
I love how you're refusing to call him Alphard, because that's even worse to say out loud.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, Hitomi is like, "Are you Alphard?" And he's... Yeah.
Every time I hear it, it just reminds me of Lord Farquaad.
Yep.
It kind of does. It's not a good name.
It's like, what if you combined Lord Farquaad and Alf?
Oh my god, no. That's... You mix those two together and somehow it's the two of them standing on each other's shoulders, and
they both make a fully functioning person.
Yeah.
Really, both of them make like a guy who's like 5'11". Like,
yeah.
it's just very, like, not really like quite tall, but like on the taller side.
Yeah, that's how they get into movies.
So we're not sure if this is a bluff or not, but, you know, the point of this is that Leland is potentially holding weaponized UA virus in his hand, and just dropping these vials will cause, well, wanton destruction. So Kano lowers his gun, but then Achi shouts for Susumu, and all of the SOS swarm around Palmer. Palmer just sort of does a little bit of a Joker speech, and then just throws the vials into the air.
Just a wee bit of jokering. We'll leave you to discover that when you play it yourself. That's
your teaser for your viewers at home. So the vials get thrown in the air, and then we hear a little bit of like the phone ringing. I think it's the Ayakamiki ringtone. Yeah. And a big blast happens. Kano is knocked off his feet. A bomb exploded, and we get a bad end, but Stanley is unlocked.
Dun-dun.
Yeah. And Achi's remaining moments are exactly the same. You also get a bad ending for him. He gets exploded too.
Yeah.
And that's what we played
yes.
this week.
Dun-dun-dun.
Do we want to talk about who the other character that unlocks except for
I don't know who it is, but I am curious.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't play any further past this point. Do they unlock in Achi's route?
It's Tama. She comes back.
Oh, if only it's just the suit this time.
No, so it's when Tateno lives with Maria and Kanan. So what do you think it is?
I was going to think it was Kanan.
No, it's Tateno.
Yeah, and it's only if you salute.
Yeah. Kanan's too competent for us to play as her.
You know what? Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't control me.
You know, I was debating who it was, like, as I was playing through this, because they introduced so many characters at the end there. I was also thinking it might be Susumu. I was even, like, debating that it could be the publisher that Minoru Kawa talks to.
Toyama. Or, Katayama.
Oh, yeah.
Katayama.
It'd be cool if Katayama was something cooler than what he is, but whatever.
We just need characters, like, in every relevant plot, like, location for the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
One who goes to the lab, and Jack, whoever he did, we don't know yet where he went, but he went somewhere.
Yeah.
If only we could play as Kajiwara, but again, he's too powerful for us to play as him. We can't know his inner workings.
I hope he shows up again. I love him.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to introduce somebody, it might as well be the Dick from Dick Dictums.
Yeah. Finally, the culmination.
We'll learn the secret 100th dictum.
I just want to see Kajiwara vision where there's like bananas everywhere.
Oh my god. The best part of this hour for me, personally, was the final culmination of the Minoru Kawa taxi driver ship, which was it's just text. There's nothing I'm reading into it. It's right there in front of us. A beautiful love story, the most beautiful love story of this game, built on mutual respect and support.
Yep.
They just work well together.
They're always there for each other, and they both understand the value of being a professional.
My favorite moment is, of course, when they replay the theme song, because I'm just a sucker for bookending stuff like that at the climax.
Mm.
Yeah.
God, Leland Palmer's heel turn.
That was completely expected, though.
It's like I knew it, but I also was not expecting it.
Like, I knew when they introduced Leland Palmer as this character and then didn't do anything with him for the rest of the game.
Yeah, my thought was just, which character have we seen that had no reason of being in the story? Unless...
Aside from Osawa.
Yeah, it's great that they managed to spoil Twin Peaks at the same time as they did in this game.
He's the only other white guy, too. Like we had the one guy who was like the terrorist, and then we have Stanley, and like it's like we already had a bunch of stuff with the terrorist. Stanley is a character we can play as, so he like has like a good. So he's like the last like international terrorist like type option, I guess. I don't know. He like, and his heel turn is so like campy. It's so like cartoonishly like, oh, you fools! I was playing all of you this whole time with my brilliant plans that no one can understand.
It's very like crime procedural. Like it's kind of like a what do you call it, Law and Order episode where like the English teacher from the first scene turns out to be the guy who actually committed the murder.
And then in one of the routes, or in Kano's route, he's like, he's like trying to think through, or maybe it's Achi's route. He's trying to think through like why Alphard isn't scared or like acting like he's backed down into a corner, and like one of the conclusions is like he doesn't care. He doesn't care if he lives or dies. And then they're like, oh no, the Joker. He doesn't care if he lives or dies. He just wants to watch the world burn.
Well, he does explode,
and he does. He explodes. And
Yeah, we didn't say that, but it's almost assuredly, Leland's the one that explodes.
Yeah, the virus, like in those little vials, like the glass vials, like there's like a cool gif of them like going up toward the camera and then back down. So dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like they had a short video of the actual scramble, but they overlaid all the advertisements to be Aya Kamiki.
Yeah, they always do that. Every time you see an episode with Aya Kamiki.
It's great.
Maybe she's the real Alphard.
That would have been also good.
Yeah.
But we will find out, I think, more about this next time.
Yeah, I have to confess that I did finish the game.
Mm-hmm.
So next time we all will. There are two endings. And they're both good endings, just that the one that you are probably likely to get first is slightly less good than the other one. But I put instructions in our Slack channel about how to get the good ending.
Right.
But we should watch them both because they have interesting changes between them.
Yeah, so if you're reading along at home, we will be hitting both of the good endings, hopefully. If you can getting the bad endings right, you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, and also you are going to get to be continued because technically there's one epilogue chapter, but it's short and we can just play it. It won't make the episode longer. So when you get to be continued, just keep playing.
All right. So we'll see you all next time for the conclusion of 428 Shibuya Scramble, at least the story, before we look at all the extra bonus stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good night, folks.
Good night.